It was a stormy day, and I was trapped inside the school building with young Yoon, a student from my class. She was soaked from the rain, so I gave her my jacket to change into. When she said the zipper wasn't working, I hesitated, but against my better judgment, I stepped inside to help. My gaze unintentionally fell on her chest, making the situation even more uncomfortable. When a sudden thunderstrike cut off the electricity, Young Yoon fell into my arm and begged me not to leave her. What happened next was something I deeply regret. So how did I end up in this mess in the first place? It started a few months ago. I was a PE teacher leading a swimming class full of enthusiastic female students, with some of them gushing about how attractive I am. Minju, my female assistant, guided the girls through their warm-up. While watching the session, I noticed one student named Young Yoon climbing the steps. She kept going higher until she reached the topmost diving board. I told her to stop whatever she was planning, but she ignored me and jumped into the pool. I immediately dove in after her, worried something had gone wrong. When I reached her, she was smiling, as if she had been waiting for me. Even after we surfaced, she didn't stop smiling. Later, I stood on the balcony smoking a cigarette when my pregnant wife, Shu-Yun, arrived. I tried to hide it, but the smell gave me away immediately. We were in the middle of moving into our new apartment, with boxes scattered around. I looked for my sports gear and a ball, planning to watch a rugby match. Shu-Yun hoped I only intended to watch and not play, worried I might get injured with a baby on the way. Back at school, I supervised a dodgeball game from the bleachers. Minju joined me on the bench, and we talked casually while watching the students. After some time, I decided to join the game on the field. Young Yin managed to dodge the ball several times, but then she deliberately allowed herself to be hit by my throw, falling to the ground. At the school clinic, I treated the bruise on Young Yun's knee. I calmly scolded her for staying in the path of the ball. She told me she wasn't afraid of anything. Suddenly, she leaned forward so her chest touched my face. I immediately warned her not to play games like that. She left without showing any remorse. As I walked through the school hallway afterward, the students reacted strangely. Some giggled, others took pictures. I didn't realize that a note was stuck to my back. It read, "He belongs to Young Yun." My wife came from a wealthy family. Her father was disappointed that she married someone poor like me. He bought us our new apartment and secured my job as a teacher. Her parents never failed to remind me that they were the ones supporting me. Later that day, I ran into Young Yun at a convenience store. She asked if I was a rugby player. When I confirmed it, she said she was interested in learning the sport. Sometime after, I brought her to one of my rugby matches. She stood there cheering enthusiastically for me. After the match ended, one of my teammates teased me about having a young lover. I denied it immediately. When I went to my car afterward, I found Young Yun inside, appearing to be asleep. I reached over to fasten her seatbelt, but she suddenly asked if I was trying to kiss her. I denied that as well. The next day at school, the girls were playing around the water fountain. I noticed myself staring at Young Yun more than usual. Later, I found a hairpin she had left behind and decided to keep it. That evening at home, I tried to watch a rugby match, but my thoughts kept drifting back to Young Yun. I went to check the laundry for the hairpin I had picked up earlier. To my surprise, Shu-Yun was wearing it, believing it was a gift from me. That night, as we became intimate, she noticed that I seemed more passionate than usual. She didn't know that my eyes were fixed on the hairpin and was imagining Young Yun. The following day, as school ended, a heavy rainstorm began. I decided to wait for the rain to subside before heading home. That's when I saw Young Yun running back to the building. We took shelter together in a stairwell. She was soaked and shivering, but despite that, she was drinking a cold strawberry milk. I commented that she seemed obsessed with it. She replied that when she likes something, she sticks with it. I told her we should prepare to leave, but she didn't seem to be in a hurry and said she enjoyed being around me. Not wanting to encourage her behavior, I warned her that she could get into trouble if she kept it up. I later handed her my rugby jacket to change into. Moments later, she complained that the zipper wasn't working. I hesitated, knowing I shouldn't step inside, but against my better judgment, I went in to help. My gaze unintentionally fell on her chest, making the situation even more uncomfortable. I told her she could manage on her own and started to step back, but before I could leave, a sudden thunderstrike cut the power. Startled, Young Yun grabbed onto me and begged me not to leave her. She kissed me, and I responded. It would have gone further if not for the sound of footsteps outside the room. Reacting quickly, I pulled us both under a desk to hide. As the security guard walked down the hallway, I held Young Yun close to keep her from moving. She began whispering that I was hurting her, afraid the guard would hear us. I covered her mouth to quiet her. After a tense moment, another noise distracted the guard, and his footsteps faded away. When it was finally quiet, I realized Young Yun had passed out. I tried waking her up, but she wouldn't respond. Panic took over, and as I dragged myself out into the hallway, the electricity came back on. That was when I saw the security guard and my wife standing there. Overcome with fear and confusion, I left Young Yun where she was and went home with my wife. At home, I took a shower, still in a state of shock and barely hearing a word my wife said. When my wife was finally asleep, I returned to the school, but Young Yun was no longer there. The only thing left behind was her phone. The next day at school, I looked for Young Yun. I asked a student if they had seen her. After checking with others, it became clear that no one had seen her all day. When I returned to my desk, I found a pink package, and inside was my rugby jacket, neatly folded. I searched for Young Yun, and after some time, she approached me calmly, as if nothing unusual had happened. I returned her phone and apologized for what happened the previous day. I asked her to keep it a secret, and she agreed. Later, I found out she had posted about the encounter on her blog. Some students giggled while reading it. Minju noticed as well, and the post reached the principal. Thankfully, when he questioned Young Yun, the girl said the blog was pure imagination. The principal later warned me to avoid any rumors that could damage the school's reputation. I confronted Young Yun about what she did, but she didn't give a proper explanation. I went to play rugby afterward. After the match, one of my friends noticed my phone lighting up. He teased me when he saw the contact name, Strawberry Milk, and joked about cheating. One of the messages asked me to meet on the rooftop for drinks. While having a drink, I told my friend I was planning to quit teaching to take a coaching position. He said it wouldn't be enough to support my baby. My phone kept ringing. When I checked it, there were 15 missed calls from Young Yun. She was waiting for me on the rooftop. The next day, Young Yun looked depressed while eating breakfast at their expensive apartment. While my wife and I were shopping, I noticed Young Yun standing outside the window. I quickly led my wife out of the store before she noticed. That evening, I received a late-night call. Young Yun sounded clingy, so I quickly hung up the phone. At school, she left gifts on my office desk with a message saying she missed me. I threw the gifts away in front of my colleagues. When I got home, Shu Yun surprised me with a fully prepared nursery. She told me the money came from Young Yun, who had paid her to be her tutor. Shu Yun welcomed her warmly, unaware of her relationship with me. During dinner, I stayed quiet, but my discomfort was obvious. Young Yun noticed and seemed to enjoy it, making small comments that felt like teasing. Later, she mentioned that she planned to stay the night as her parents were out of town, and she said she didn't want to be alone. Shu Yun agreed immediately, and I didn't say anything. Afterward, I told my wife that she should stop tutoring Young Yun and return the tuition money. Shu Yun said she had already spent part of it. I admitted that Young Yun had a crush on me and that it made me uneasy. Shu Yun brushed it off, saying it was normal for girls her age to feel that way about teachers. That night, after my wife had fallen asleep, Young Yun came to our room and gestured for me to follow her. Outside, she spoke in a teasing way, trying to pull me into a situation I didn't want. I struggled to resist, fully aware that my wife was only a room away. Eventually, I gave into a choice I knew I shouldn't have made. Sometime later, Minju ran into Shu Yun at the supermarket. They talked about Young Yun, and Minju mentioned that everyone at school, including the principal, was being extra careful around her because she was the secret child of a very wealthy and influential man. During a swimming lesson, I asked a student named Julie to demonstrate CPR. Julie playfully kissed me, which caused laughter among the students. Young Yun watched from a distance, visibly upset. Later, in the locker room, Julie was attacked by Young Yun and was seriously injured. At the hospital, Minju told me the school planned to handle the incident quietly. She then asked whether Young Yun's blog post was based on the truth. I didn't answer. Hours later, Minju drove me home because I was drunk. After she helped me into bed, Shu Yun warned her to be careful, saying that people might misunderstand her closeness to me. While Shu Yun was tutoring Young Yun, the girl asked if she could try on my wife's wedding ring. What started as casual talk shifted when Young Yun began speaking about harming herself for someone she loved. Shu Yun decided to end the session early, but Young Yun insisted on staying until I came home. When I arrived, Young Yun greeted me and clung to my arms, right in front of my wife. I pushed her away and acknowledged Shu Yun, who was already beginning to look uneasy. At school, Young Yun and I were alone in the auditorium. I told myself I would not betray my wife any longer. Young Yun hinted that she could expose what had happened. Because of that, I told Shu Yun that I wanted to quit teaching and become a coach. She objected, reminding me that coaching paid less and that we needed stability with a baby coming. I tried to say something more serious, but she stopped me, saying she had heard enough for the night. The next day, Young Yun confronted Shu Yun about ending the tutoring sessions. Shu Yun explained that her due date was approaching. A smell suddenly made Young Yun nauseous, and she vomited. After this, she told Shu Yun that she is pregnant, and this deeply worried my wife. That evening, Shu Yun followed me and saw me enter Young Yun's apartment. From outside, she broke down, imagining what she believed was happening inside. In the apartment, I apologized to Young Yun and reminded her that I have a wife and a child on the way. She suggested that things would be easier if my wife were no longer around. Overwhelmed, I laughed uncontrollably and left. The next day, Shu Yun showed Young Yun her wedding photos, talking about better times. Young Yun hinted that Shu Yun was trapped in her marriage to me. My wife responded that romance alone is not enough to hold a relationship together. Shu Yun dismissed her as nothing more than a toy that I would soon grow bored of. This angered Young Yun, who insisted she meant more to me. Shu Yun then asked her about how it felt sleeping with me. Young Yun spoke eagerly, trying to provoke her, but Shu Yun listened without reacting. Later, Young Yun lost consciousness as it turned out her drink had been drugged. Shu Yun placed her in a wheelchair and pushed her around until she encountered Minju. She asked for help. In the car, Shu Yun explained that Young Yun could not continue the pregnancy because it would ruin their lives. Minju resisted but felt pressured by Shu Yun's words. Together, they drove Young Yun to the hospital. While Shu Yun and Minju waited outside, the doctor eventually came out and told them that Young Yun was not pregnant and that she had never been touched by a man. The news shocked both of them. Shu Yun later brought Young Yun back to the apartment. When the girl regained consciousness, she insisted she had been drugged and claimed that her baby had been taken from her. Shu Yun told her firmly that she had never been pregnant and that what she believed had happened with me was only in her imagination. Young Yun refused to accept this. She said that if her baby was gone, then Shu Yun should be gone too. They struggled. When I arrived home, I saw the chaos unfolding and immediately stepped in. I helped my wife and pushed Young Yun away from her. Young Yun complained that my wife had taken her to the hospital. Shu Yun insisted that the girl was unstable and should not be taken seriously. I asked my wife to explain what Young Yun meant, but before she could answer, she suddenly went into labor. At the hospital, I waited in the hallway, overwhelmed and unable to think clearly. After what felt like an eternity, I was allowed inside. I saw my wife and our baby. The child was healthy. Later, Minju found Young Yun sitting alone in the reception area. The girl asked about Shu Yun's condition, and Minju told her that both mother and baby were doing well. As Minju drove her home, she told Young Yun not to confuse affection with love. Young Yun said nothing and only played with a penknife in her hand, which made Minju uneasy. When they reached Young Yun's apartment, she got out of the car. Moments later, she turned back, saying she had left her penknife on the passenger seat. Minju handed it to her, but without warning, Young Yun slashed her neck twice. At the hospital, Shu Yun asked me if I was still happy being with her, or if I was only staying out of obligation. Before I could respond, a nurse rushed into the room, clearly panicked. Our baby was gone. I ran through the hospital, searching every corridor. While I was still looking, Shu Yun received a call from Young Yun. She told my wife that she had the baby. Shu Yun immediately ran toward the elevator, shutting me out. I followed and caught up with her as she was about to enter a taxi. She insisted on going alone, saying that Young Yun demanded it. Shu Yun found Young Yun in a utility room and begged her to give the baby back. Young Yun mocked her and said it might already be too late, pointing toward a water tank. Shu Yun climbed the ladder and jumped inside, only to realize it was a trick. There was no baby, just a dummy. Young Yun closed the lid and began filling the tank with more water. At the same time, I broke into Young Yun's apartment. I found our baby safe, and relief washed over me. I answered a phone call, believing it was from my wife, but it was Young Yun instead. She told me to choose her or my wife. I rushed to the rooftop where Young Yun was waiting. She smiled, convinced I had chosen her. I pushed her away and demanded to know where my wife was. When I heard Shu Yun calling from inside one of the rooms, I shoved Young Yun aside and ran to her. I freed my wife and told her that our baby is safe. We held each other. Then I noticed Young Yun standing near the edge of the roof. I went back out and begged her to step away, but she wouldn't listen. She asked me if what we had was real. I couldn't answer. I just begged her not to jump. She kept asking, tears running down her face, but I still had no response to give her. She let herself fall, but I managed to grab her arm. As I tried to pull her up, my strength was fading. Shu Yun came out, and I begged her to help me. She stayed where she was and told me to let go so we could move on with our lives. Young Yun slipped further. I held on as long as I could, but she eventually slipped from my grasp. Shu Yun told me that we hadn't done anything wrong, and that Young Yun had fallen because she chose to. Months later, Shu Yun was busy caring for our child. She asked me to take out the trash. Among the things I threw away was my rugby jacket. Afterward, I went to the empty bleachers. I sat there alone, thinking, and cried.